updated online. All right. Good afternoon. Good evening. Good evening. Let me take a few minutes and I'm going to go on Facebook, as I always do. Make sure we're showing live on that. We are. Give me 1 second. Perfect. All right. Well, I'm so excited to talk to you all tonight. We'll give it a few minutes for us to have some people join. But, you know, what I've learned is that I am to keep the party train moving. Oh my, I forgot I have a machine learning AI class live that I was supposed to be on tonight. So I didn't make that one. Hopefully I will get the next one. All right. So we have an amazing topic, I think, a topic that is very important. I believe a topic that would be deemed as a crucial conversational topic. For context, crucial conversations are when the stakes are high, when emotions may run high, and you still need to be engaged in a relationship with the person. So I like to say, and you still want to preserve the relationship. So I'm super pumped to talk about this topic because even though crucial conversations or tough conversations around topics can get a little crazy, it's all good. I mean, I think that if we think about this from a encouragement, education, elevation, expansion of perspective, then you don't have to get too overwhelmed with the topic. I won't say we won't be get in our feelings or get emotional, because we have specific experiences that we'll dive into, and I'm asking your perspective. So if you would do me a favor and just, if you're on live, go ahead and hit me up in the comments. Let me know so that I know that I have the comment section working okay and I can see your post. Make sure I want to make sure that that's working. All right. Let's do this. All right, Toya, let's do it. All right. So tonight we are going to be talking about, I call this segment of discussions Candid Perspectives, because I am sharing a topic with you, and then I want to have your candid perspective on the topic. So tonight we're going to talk about paternity gaps and father absenteeism. And what do we feel like are the causes of those things? What do we feel? Who do we feel are responsible for the gaps in absenteeism? All of those topics. And I feel like we talk about this topic periodically, but the challenge that we have is that with any conversation we get passionate about, it is we are very much we go down rabbit holes sometimes, and it gets convoluted with a lot of different feelings, emotions, perspectives, and we don't ever get to, okay, so how do we mitigate? How do we then course correct those types of conversations? And I want to make sure before we conclude tonight, we talk about some of those things as well. So my disclaimer is, as normal, I'm not an expert. If you are an expert and you're sharing perspectives in the comments, definitely let us know. But other than that, I will assume none of us are experts as it relates to doctors or anything around this topic, but we are expert at our own lives, right? In our own experiences. And so that is what we're talking about, our own experience and our own perspectives about the topics that we discuss here. And so we're supposed to share best practices, lessons learned, do life together. And so how do we do that if we don't have candid conversations, intentional conversations about specific topics? All right. So I have my phone in my hand because I had some specific questions I wanted to throw out there to you all. And I also put some FYI highlights because I didn't know if people knew these things, right? So let me start with the highlights, okay? That I don't think I put it on my YouTube publication because maybe it was space issues, but on Facebook and Instagram, I believe I put these, but I may not have, but I'll share them later. So let me just share a few now. FYI, before we get into the questions. So as it relates to paternity gaps and fatherhood or father absenteeism, did you all know that that this issue is a global issue? So father absenteeism, paternity issues, meaning we have not clarified or solidified who the father is of a child. That is a global issue. It is not just in the United States. So I just wanted to do some stats for you all. Again, stats are all relative to the research resource you use, but I did put the one that I used, which was by Pew Research Center. And this data was collected December the 12th, 2019. So here's what I will venture to say. If I'm sharing this with you from 2019, it hasn't gotten better. Okay. So that's the one thing for sure. All right. So just a snapshot of the top 10 countries that have single households, which are primarily led by women. So that means that fathers are not in the home. The number one country that's dealing with this issue is the US. Number two country is the UK. Number three is in Central Africa. I'm going to say this wrong, but I'm not even going to say it. I'm going to post it. Look. Can I post? Hold on. I'm going to put this in here, you guys, because if you know how to say it, you just say it to yourself because I can't hear you, I guess. Okay, it's SAOTOM. And I don't want to say that wrong, but that's in Central Africa. All right. So number one, US, number two, UK, number three, Central Africa, number four is Russia, number five, fifth country that's dealing with father or single parent households, primarily women leading the house. 5 is Denmark. France is 6. Kenya is 7. Canada is 8. Ireland is 9. And 10 is Germany. And so I just wanted to give you all just a snapshot of the fact that in this, when we talk about the topic of parental awareness, paternity awareness, where families, children, mothers, etc., know specifically who fathers are and that they are present in the house or just present consistently, it's not just an issue in the United States. And so I share that because I mentioned during our last conversation that I believe when Usher shared his award speech, he said this is the year of the father. And I will say this for sure, that that's a similar message that the Lord has given to me, which is to highlight the fact that he wants men to be more attentive to what he needs them to do in the space of fatherhood and leading the home. And that doesn't negate or separate. That doesn't mean that women don't have a role in it. We have a huge role in it. That's why all of these topics have to be discussed intentionally with both parties, because we don't do life by ourselves, right? Men need us, women, and women need men. I don't care about all these YouTube videos that I've been seeing going around here lately where people have asked men, do we need women? What in the world? Of course you need women. I don't know where on anyway. And if I see a video where someone asks, do they need men? And they say no, I don't know what they're talking about either, because these are all not true. and I'm not talking about just romantic relationships. We need each other in different capacities. And so if we're not talking like that, then we have another issue. Yes, almond glaze. I was surprised the Caribbean was not on there either, because a lot of the different cultures from Jamaica, Caribbean, a lot of different islands have culturally this as being a challenge. But here's the thing, we know that. So if these other countries outrank them, that's saying something. That's saying something significantly. And we've been made to think that it's isolated to certain spaces that are based on race, African American primarily, and that is not true either. And so I think that we need to step back and start looking at this in a different perspective, because this is only physically present. We're not even talking about disconnect mentally, emotionally, and all of that. But okay, so did you guys? Okay, so that's one FYI I wanted to share with you before we get into. I only have 3 questions for you tonight, but I think they're good questions for us to keep going on. All right, did you know that out of 100, hold on. Oh, I think I shared this with you already. But out of 130 countries, the U.S. has the world's highest rate of children living in single households under 18. So that's pretty much letting you know, even after I gave you guys the top 10, in comparison with 130 countries, we're still number 1. All right. Did you all know that 65%? Now, I've seen different ranges. So this particular stat was from Eyewitness News study that was performed this year, April 17th. 65% of paternity tests are negative, meaning, in other words, most fathers who are tested were not the biological father of the child that was a part of the test. I'm gonna say that again. I don't know if that's a big deal, because that's a big deal to me. 65%. Honestly, for me, any percentage is a big deal, which is why I want to ask you the question: who's responsible? What do we do? Right? So 65% of paternity cases that come through where we're trying to prove paternity, in 65% of the cases, the fathers are not biologically connected to the child. That's bananas, right? Now, again, I'm sharing this stat with you from this particular resource, but I saw so many different resources, and it varied from 65, 50, 30, 10, but it is all contingent upon the audience that they use. But the bottom line is it's way too much, okay? Because there should not be a situation outside of, and you guys know I prefaced this in my communication before, I'm not talking about any situation where a woman is violated and impregnated by someone through violation. And I'm talking about incest, molestation, rape, all of those things. We are not talking about those things. We're talking about consensual sex where a baby was conceived and we don't know who the father is. That's what we're talking about, just to be very candid and clear. So when I get to the questions, I'm going to restate that. All right, so something else. Did you all know that in almost all states, the fathers of the child, hold on. Oh, in almost all states, the father of the child is the one, oh, okay. I'm sorry. The father of the child is the one who's named on the birth certificate. So if you're married, then the father is put on there automatically. Why that is important is because we know that sometimes a woman can be married and not carrying her husband's baby. And that's a big deal, because if the woman is married and she has a baby and the father is her husband is automatically put on there, and there is that's assumed that person's the father, when that could very well not be the case. And if they get a divorce, he will be liable for child support, and that's not his kid. Now he has to fight a court system that's not for him at all, because we're not even going to get into that, to prove that he shouldn't have to pay whatever the percentage is. And I don't want to get into percentage, because some people, again, that's one of the rabbit holes we go down to, that convolutes this conversation about how much the person pays, whatever, because this is about a child knowing their lineage. And we'll talk about even my personal situation. I looked, most of you that have been watching know that I don't know who my biological father is. I recently took some DNA tests, and we'll get into that later. But I will tell you a lot of that DNA, why I decided to do it this year, and I'll be 46 this year, and I decided to do it was really triggered by some health challenges I was going through. And I kept being asked about, oh, well, can you tell us about your father? Did he have this? Did he have that? And some of the times it was because I would not be, certain tests weren't, I wasn't approved for certain tests if there was not any predisposal or predisposition to something. So I would have to pay for tests that they knew would not actually show anything. But because I couldn't prove that I knew for sure certain things, they had to go the long route. And I wouldn't want that I wouldn't want that for my kids. And I wouldn't want, as a mother, to know that I could have just found out a little bit more about my own paternity situation, so that my kids could be more aware of their own lineage. And so I took the test, so I'll share that with you guys later. Anyway, so that was one point. We realized that married fathers or married men, if a man is married to his wife and she gets pregnant, he's automatically assumed as the father until something changes or it's proven otherwise. And it may not mean that he does not have to pay child support. And we're not even getting into the emotional connection and impact on a man. And this is why I'm having this conversation with you all, because I saw a video, and I'll share that with you before we get into the questions. Another FYI. Oh, I don't know if you guys know this either, but in certain states, fathers have to be legitimized as the father. What that means is that a father could be in the room when the baby's born, sign the birth certificate, but he still has no parental rights until he goes through the process to legitimize him as the father, which is the legal process. So Georgia is one of the states that unless a father could be there, if he's not married to the mother, he could still be there. They could be together for a long time. He can sign he could be on the birth certificate and everything else. But he could also, if something ever happens, he would not have any legal rights, legal parental rights, if he does not go through that process to legitimize him as a father. Doesn't matter what and he can still be charged child support. Check that. So he doesn't have parental rights, but he can still be charged child support. And so this is why we need to understand who we're having, where we're dropping seeds off at. That's for the men and women, who we're allowing the seeds that we decide to let grow. I mean, and I'm not talking about anything like aborting children or anything like that. I'm saying we need to be careful with who we're having sex and recreating with. And we need to be mindful of the relationship dynamics on top of the fact of where we're living. So let me just tell you something about Texas, the beautiful state of Texas that operates like it's its own country sometimes. I'm from Seattle, Washington, but I do live in Texas, which I love. I love Texas. But check this law out. I wouldn't love it if I was a man. And and I'm laughing because this is horrible what I'm about to say, because I so would be very careful if I was a man with who I was with and what I was doing and who I was recreating with. All right. There are some instances where men, and I already said this, are ordered to pay child support even if the child is not biologically theirs. But right now, here's an example. In Texas, as of February 19th, February 19th, 2024, 128,000 men are paying child support or have been ordered to pay child support for kids that are not theirs. 128,000 men ordered to pay child support that are of kids that are not biologically theirs in Texas. Is that not crazy? 128,000. I'm like, what in the world? Like, what does that even look like? And just for perspective, There are so many different situations that come about that we can talk about as it relates to this topic, because some people are like, well, even though he was ordered to pay it, he's not paying it. Well, because he don't ever keep a job. Well, he probably don't keep a job because he's ordered to pay something that he's not responsible for in his eyes. I'm just being very candid, right? We can have a lot, and then some people are like, well, he was a part of their life since, forever, whatever. We can talk about a lot of different things, but I'm just talking about stats and bottom line things that we need to talk about as it relates to paternity gaps. And these are the different FYIs that I shared with you, are the gaps I'm talking about. And how they may impact whether a father is there or not, because there are a myriad of different reasons why fathers are absent. I'm not sharing that any of them are good, because I believe both parents should be in the lives of their children, especially if there's not any health-related, physical, mental, emotional, health-related issues where the child may be harmed. I believe there should be a connection with both parents, period. That's just my perspective. Not sometimes in the same household, because that may not be what it is, right? Because children are bigger than our romantic relationships. But it is, children are a product of our actions, whether we loved each other or it was a one night stand, but they're here. And so we need to go ahead and partner and figure out how we actually move forward. So so paternity issues are something we need to be talking about. So let's get into these questions. But first, I don't know. So one of my, I call him his 206 old school friend from Seattle, Washington, Erin Renee Fleek. She has a dialogue group on Facebook. And if you're not familiar with it and you're on Facebook, I would encourage you to join it, because I think it's wonderful. It keeps your mind going, and you get to see different scenarios that are going on in our world. Some are relationship oriented, some are parental, so on and so forth. But the group is called Straight, and is spelled STR, the number 8, I'm sorry, let me start over. STR, the number 8, GHT, Talk, No Chaser. That is the Facebook group. I would highly encourage. I think Toya is going to put it in the chat for you all to check out, but check that out. So a couple of days ago, I saw a video on there, and that's what triggered this conversation. And anytime I have a conversation topic that I think the Lord wants me to cover, which I was supposed to be going back to cover my bonus dads, but this came up, and I felt like the Lord was like, no, this is what you're going to talk about. So that's what we're talking about. So I watched a video, and on this video, it was like a court, a paternity court. I can't remember what judge it was, but anyway, so there was a commentator. You guys know that the commentators, I guess it's called a stitch. I could be wrong, but where you show the video and then somebody provides a commentation on it. So it was showing the court scene, and the judge said, Mr. Johnson, you are not the father. And so this man, you guys, looked devastated. Like his eyes, like you could tell he was emotionally impacted, right? And I'm not a mind reader, so I don't know if it was hurt, distress, relief, anger. It could be a combination of all of that. His mother was with him, and his mother was like, I already told you this wasn't your child. He didn't go back and forth with his mom. He just kept looking straight, definitely with tears in his eyes. The mother, I wouldn't even say that she was, she apologized. I think it was the first time I've ever seen a woman apologize. She said, Mr. Johnson, I'm sorry. I'm deeply sorry to you and your family. I truly thought you were the father. And then the mother responded, because the man didn't even look her way. She said, we know he ain't. She said, I truly don't know who the father is. She said, we know you don't know. That's what the mother said. Well, then the mother that was there as part of the suit, she starts crying, saying, I don't know who the father is. I don't know who the father is. And then she faints. So all of the attention was turned to her. And this is what the commentator was saying. Now, while this man is in court, he's hurt, but all of the attention is diverted to the mother because of her emotional response to her own actions. And so this is where some people may not be in alignment with me, but I am a very much, I am a person. Thank you, Toya, for putting the video in the chat. I'm a person that we got to really look at things holistically. Just because I'm a woman, some things are out of order. I appreciated the fact that she did apologize, but the reality is that the commentator was right. We totally disregarded the man's feeling. And the judge then said, Mr. Johnson, please understand, she's really hurt right now. She doesn't know. She really thought you were the father. But real talk, guys, we all know you have about 48 hours, 72 hours to have sex. So if you had sex with more than one man within that period, there's a probability that he may not be the father. So I don't understand what we're talking about sometimes. So y'all help me out if I'm off here, because this had me, I was typing like this. I was like, this is out of order, because I get so frustrated with the fact that even myself, hey, listen, I lived my own life, right? I would never say I was for the street, but I was young just like everybody else. I was young like other people, but I would say that I was mindful of who I engaged with sexually when I was younger, because I was taught that here's what the reality is, Fashe. You are responsible for who you have sex with, whether it's protected or unprotected. You will have if you get pregnant, that is your responsibility. Like, you have to be equipped. So I was told that. I was also told that there were some instances where people don't know who the father is. Hence was my mom's situation. She didn't know. And when my mom and I said this too, my mom said, Shay, I wish I could tell you who it was. I don't even have a clue. That tells me that my mom must have been with multiple people within a short time frame, that she doesn't even have an idea. And my mom, she was dealing with some drug activities and things of that nature. And when I say drugs, I'm talking about heroin, like heavy drugs, things, and an alcoholic at the time. She was only 16, right? But my mom had been drinking since she was 12. And on drugs since she was 12, and she was violated young. And she had my brother when she was 12, going on 13. So she had a traumatic life, I will say. But she had things going on. That's the bottom line. To the point where she had no clue. And when I tell you that my mom knows a lot of people, when she tells me I don't know, and she was very candid with a lot of things. So if my mom was violated and conceived me in that way, I believe she would have told me something. But she was like, Shay, we can try it out. Here are some different people. And she gave me names, and she was like, we could start here. But what I loved about our conversation, my mom and I, was the fact that she owned the fact that it was something she was responsible for, and she could have mitigated. Because if she wasn't violated, then it was consensual, even if she was under the influence. And so we had to talk about it, because it's something that still impacts me to this day. And so I ask you all then, let's go to my question number 1. And I need you guys to plug it in the comment section because I'm not going to share my perspective first. I want to hear you guys' thoughts first. All right. Who's responsible for paternity issues or gaps, whatever we want to call it? Who do you all think is responsible for them? Meaning, who can who causes them? Who can stop them? Yeah. So I'll give it a few minutes, because I know there's a delay between the time I ask a question and the time that it comes over to you all to respond. Who's responsible? Crazy? That's my husband. I don't know. I don't know. Crazy. Is crazy is responsible? Yeah. We all been there too. Who's responsible? Anybody want to tell me? Do you think mothers are? Do you think fathers are? Do you think the system? Because I heard a lot about that too. Um, and the reason why I'm asking this question is mainly because if we don't identify responsible parties or owners, how do we mitigate something? How do we mitigate something that we know is significantly impacting us as a human being, a human species around the world? If there's no accountability, if we have no one who's taken ownership of how we have so many children out here who are unaware of who their father is, and how do we even address it? All right, we have, okay, so we have anybody can be, okay, and then we have, I think both are responsible or should at least have accountability. Okay, I love that. Both the mother and the father. See, that's what I'm talking about. You guys are my people. I'm on the same page. I knew I couldn't hold mine for too long. I tried. I agree. I think we're so far those that have responded, I in agreement. I believe both mothers and fathers are responsible for it, and they are the key to us actually course correcting. So okay, so that leads me to my another sub question. What do you guys think are some ways that both mothers and fathers can how can we mitigate this? How do we start to course correct, right? Because what's done is done right now, but everything is not lost, right? We still have another generation, but you see how the numbers keep going up and up. We have more and more children that either are unaware of who their father is, or they think they know who their father is, and then later learn that that's not their father. Like so many different videos that I've seen, but even personally, people I am close with, where I've seen the fathers that weren't ready to be a father. And a young lady said, hey, I'm pregnant, and they're not even together anymore. But then the man steps up and says, okay, I'm gonna be there for my child. And they believe for the first 2 or 3 years that this child, or 4 or even more years, that the child is theirs biologically. And then something reveals that he's not, or a test comes out. Typically not initiated by the father, because oftentimes men don't go through the right protocol to actually prove paternity. But typically it is verified through the mother's actions, whether she wants child support, whatever the case may be, and then it's revealed he's not the father. I've had people close to me. These men are devastated because they have a relationship with this child, and now the mom's like, oh, well, you're not his dad anyway, and they move and they go, or they do whatever. But what about the bond between this child and this man? Some men are like, it's all good, I still want to be his father, right? But then the mother has sometimes a upper hand, and so now the ball's in her court. When she feels like you can be great, when it's not convenient, you don't get to. So how do we work on this? Let me look at some of the responses here. Okay. All right. So we have, all right now, women need to start being honest with themselves and stop being selfish. Agreed. I think that we need to have these conversations. Real talk. Anybody that sees this, whether you're on here now or later, please ponder some of the ideas that are being shared, and don't get defensive. The first sign of defensiveness, it tells you that you have something you need to really process. Because if you get defensive and you're ready to fight, there's something you need to protect. even if it's out of order, just something to ponder. All right. I agree with you, Raynette. Okay. So almond glaze. First, the parents have to realize it's not about them. Girl, you didn't went all the way into my chapter in the book. It's bigger than us, right? Okay, what's done is done. Let's communicate, put a plan in place, and move forward. Bingo. And if you don't know how to put a plan in place, this good old Beyonce's internet, that's what I see people call it. This Google engine, put in parenting plan and see if nothing come up. There's so many templates on parenting plan. You don't even have to think about it. There are so many different organizations. If you're a father and you know you want to have the rights and you want to start to have some kind of a conversation, a plan, build a plan, like Almond Glaze said, with the mother of your child, and you don't want too much going on, leverage some of these resources. In Seattle, they have Dads, which is a resource organization that has finances to help men educate and support men in whatever way they need to be supported. And they help you beyond that. You have in Texas, you have Anthem Strong Families. They help both men and women because they're about the family unit. You have in Georgia, you have the Fathers Incorporated. There are so many different organizations, and these organizations don't only help people in those states. They go to other places and help. But I think, like you said, both of you said, Renee and Almond Joy. Lord, I'm hungry. Almond Glaze. Almond Glaze. Bottom line is we have to start talking because what we're dealing with is bigger than us. Another one, men need to get paternity tests at birth. Oh my gosh, that's another one. We do not, it's another question, but why do we not get paternity tests at birth? Like, real talk, if this is an issue, what in the world? Why are we so okay with the ambiguity and uncertainty around something? We running all these labs on this kid at the time of birth, right? And we don't think we could just go ahead and solidify that. Even if I'm married, I can solidify that to make sure my husband has what he needs. If we are not married, more importantly, if I want, even if he's there and my partner's there, hold me down and he's on the birth certificate, I want to make sure he has rights. What if something happens to me? What if I pass away? My child, and I'm in Georgia, the father of my child doesn't even have paternal rights to me. That doesn't even make sense. Like, what are we doing? Going back to what Almond Glaze said, what are we doing to make sure we think about things that are bigger than us? Which are things that we want to make sure we're thinking about setting our kids up so that they have what they need to be successful, relationally, medically, everything. Do you know how many fights will break out at the hospital? Well, at least they'll be already at the hospital. Toya, if a fight break out, you already at the hospital. Go ahead to the emergency room or the morgue. Somebody may not make it. Okay. But these things have to happen. Stop having kids for the wrong reasons. Oh, see, now this is what we need to talk about. Last time we connected, I asked the question, do you all think that parents really want to be parents in today's world? And real talk, what Raynette said, sometimes people are having kids for the wrong reasons. They don't want to be parents. They want to lock somebody down. They want to have a security resource for financial gain because this kid is attached to someone with money, and I don't plan on doing no work or having a job. So I need to make sure I have kids. Sometimes it is the only way he'll stay with me is with a child. With a child. Sometimes it's not even the mother, because sometimes people automatically feel like the woman wants to have the child. Sometimes it's the man that tricks the woman. And the woman may feel like, okay, I'm taking the proper protocol. And I thought he was too. And we already talked, and I didn't say, we agreed we weren't having children. And he does something. He's like, I just, I wanted to. And now she's pregnant. And so we have a lot of work to do. Let me ask, why do you all think that women act so shocked when the paternity information is shared? Do you all really feel, and I'm just asking, do you really feel like now let me ask this a better way, because I was about to say, do you really feel that she don't know? Because hey, she may not know, because it could be multiple people. But why do you feel like she's so shocked? If a woman knows she's been sexually active with multiple people within, let's just say 48 to 7, is it 72 hours? I don't know, within a short period of time, while during ovulation, why do you think she's so shocked, that either so shocked, or why do you think she's so confident? Let me kind of back up, because most of the time women are super confident that I'm confident he's the baby's dad. How can she be so confident if she slept with multiple people? Why do you guys think what do you think is happening? Denial. All right. She lied for so long, she started to believe her own lie. Right. And then what is the cost? So what did anybody else's mom used to say? Once you tell a lie, you got to keep lying. You got to keep lying to cover that lie. And let me tell you, it'll go all the way to the grave. Because there are a lot of people that don't know about paternity situations until somebody has passed. Okay, because she's trying to make herself believe it. Yes. And here's the reality. We all have a tendency to either do it in some kind of capacity. There's not a person on here or that's watching that hasn't told a lie in some capacity, maybe not having to do with children, but that hasn't convinced themselves that they were telling the truth. There is not a person. And so the thing is that the biggest thing is, how do we weigh the cost? Because the cost of the lie is not the same. That's the biggest thing. What happens if the child needs a transfusion or some kind of a kidney or something, and something is revealed? I don't know if you guys saw this too, because this is a rare situation. I saw another video where the father and the mother, for whatever reason, the 5-year-old or 6-year-old was tested for paternity, and the father was not the father. And so that caused problems within the marriage. And the mother was like, I did not cheat on you. This is your child. The mother was then tested, and the daughter wasn't hers either. The baby had been switched at birth. So both of them were not the parents, and their biological child was in foster care. How do you like that? That's another level. That has nothing to do with both, either the mom or the dad. But I just thought, you got to be kidding. These medical staff people are really out of order. So I had other thoughts about that. You saw that too, Raynette? Come on. My heart was like, oh, because you got to think about the relationship dynamics, right? The father was looking at her like, girl, why are you lying? You couldn't have been with just me if you have a baby and it's not mine. I'm sure in a million years, no one would have thought that something like that would have happened. But let me get back on the question here. I said she lied. Right? Okay. So why do you guys think that there are a lot of fathers that are absent in a child's life? So we have paternity issues, which again is one thing, which is proving that the biological father is the biological father or he isn't, right? But that's separate from him being present or absent. Why in your opinion are some men absent from being in the child's life? And I won't even say absent from the home, because really not everybody lives in a 2-parent household. But the most important piece is really to be present and be connected to your children and partner as co-parent partners. But why do you guys think that we're struggling with that? Father absenteeism. And let me just help you guys understand, it's a big issue. The government even knows, because they're given, some of these organizations are getting $5 million grants, $2 million grants to help solve this issue. So I'm just telling you, people know that this is an issue. All right. Irresponsible. She's trifling. Okay. All right. So what else? Right? Because that is the case for I've seen a couple of men that say, yeah, well, I'm not going to be present because I didn't ask. I told her I didn't want kids. Have you guys seen that? Where a man has said, I told you I didn't want children, so I shouldn't have to be present if you decide to keep a child that I helped you create. So that's, I've seen that plenty, and we'll say it with the straight with the chest in it. They say it with their chest. Yeah. Sounds like you got a personal problem. I know that's my seed that I dropped off and I deposited, but yeah, I'm not going to be able to help you with that. So I forfeit my responsibilities. And you should understand that. So, okay, so we have, okay, so that question can have many answers. Okay, I agree. He didn't want the kid. He doesn't know how to be a dad. The mom told him to leave or made it difficult for him to stay. He's a player from the Himalayas. This is true. The mother makes it hard if he doesn't want her. Girl, you got, this is what I'm talking about. These are the conversations we need to be having. And you know what? This should be going viral. And here's why. People would get a lot out of this because we're being candid about this topic. So first, let's deal with, or let's address some of the things that Glaze said. Like you said, there are a myriad of different situations. We know, but they break down into two categories. He's either voluntarily not there or he's not allowed to be. It's just, those are the bottom lines, right? So if he, like you said, Glaze, if he voluntarily decides not to be there, so he's absent, it could be, there's different reasons within that. He may not know how to be a dad. He may not want to be a dad. A couple of things within there, but we also know a lot of men that also did not have a blueprint and just gave it a shot, and they're exceptional. And their kids are thriving, the families are thriving. Not only are they exceptional with biological kids, but bonus kids and other men that watch them because they know he didn't even have a father. That's a good guy. And so there are blueprints that we find in different places. So when a man says, it's because I didn't have an example, that really is a lack of ownership and a lack of desire to try, because that's all you have to do. Practice makes progress. But if you don't practice, you will not progress. We're not looking for perfection. We look for you to actually be present. The mom told him to leave. Spot on. I know plenty of women be like, you got to go. Don't be in here telling my kid what to do. Although it's the man's child too, or they're trying to run things, and so they make it difficult. Then the mother makes it hard, like Renette said. Absolutely. In the book, I really deal with some of these things. Chapter 3 is titled "A Straight Talk No Chaser." It's just Q&A with men, and I ask them straight up, how do women help you in your fatherhood journey, and how do we hinder you? Because bottom line, that's what we do. Women, we either help them or we hinder them. Men either help us or they hinder us. And most of the time we know what we're doing. And if we don't, we could just simply ask. But we don't. Because like Glaze said, we don't remember that this is bigger than us. So we get in our own pride and we just say, yeah, he's either going to do what we want him to do or she's going to do what, whatever I say. And we don't even think about the main thing, which is the kid. All right. So yes. Okay. So yes, in real life, I've seen that. But if he doesn't want kids, don't sleep with her. Come on, wrap it up, strap it up, tie it up, and all of those things. You really do not have to make no deposits. I just don't understand. There's just like banking. I work for a bank. You don't have to put no money in here. You don't have to put no deposits in this bank. But if you do, please manage the account accordingly. You see what I mean? I don't know. I just but and a lot. Anyway, let me just keep. Let me shut up. I think because I will say this: people sometimes will see me reading or hear my passion, and they will say this is judgment. But I would like to go ahead and clarify, so you don't even have to describe or label this. This is not judgment. This is us having conversation and sharing our perspective about things that seem to be out of control that we can actually mitigate and change or redirect. There's no judgment. Some things are what they are, right? Some things are what they are. My mom used to say, call a spade, right? And then, but at the same time, whatever floats your boat, you're going to do it anyway. However, just understand there's consequences. There are things that happen, and there are people impacted by our choices. And so if you don't want to have children, then you don't have to make any deposits, right? You can actually there's things you can do ahead of time to mitigate that. Women, if you do not want to, I've heard a lot of women say, girl, I wouldn't choose him to be my baby's dad. Ma'am, you did, because you slept with him unprotected. So bottom line, it was a 50-50 chance that you were at the gambling table. All right. And you chose them, and it was a crapshoot, and you did not pick the right person. But here's the thing: own it. But when we start having, I just heard something on the radio here in Dallas, where a young lady was on her 10th child, and we're still having this conversation about the first couple of guys, her baby's dads, weren't the right picks. But then, like, real talk, what are we talking about, ma'am? And so again, people will feel like that's a judgment. It's not a judgment. It's saying, love, we got to own our decisions. There are impacts, right? Whether it's your family that rallies behind you because these guys aren't doing it, whether it is whether you get assistance. Hey, my mom got assistance from the government. I have no shame in my game. If the government would give me assistance while I was working, I would love it. But I don't qualify even for no grants for college. That's a different conversation. But the thing is that people are impacted by even the resources that you don't have to work for, because other people are supporting and helping. So the bottom line is, whether it is, I think what Raynette, Amin, Glaze shared it, Toya has shared it, we really have to really think about and have conversations about what we're doing, keeping the main thing, and the conversations will lead to candid decision, or will lead to decisions if we're honest, and then our actions align accordingly. We all make mistakes. Everybody, my life has not been perfect in any way, shape, or form. I'm not even talking about what was done to me. I'm talking about what I did. Okay. But the reality is that I have to own what I did. And if Raynette, or if Marcel, or anybody were to say, Shay, you know what, the decisions you're making right now are not good for Asia and Jaden. If I then say, don't judge me, because this is my life, that's not a judgment. They're saying, Shay, you're out of order. And if I'm defensive, it's typically because I'm trying to protect something I don't want to face. And if I don't want to face it, the likelihood of me repeating the issue will continue. And then when hopefully Asia chooses something different. Hopefully Jaden chooses something different. But there's no intentionality, because it starts with me. Right? All right. So, okay. So let me see here. I didn't went on a tangent. Let me go down to my comments. Okay, so because a man is going to figure it out. Because a man is going to figure it out, the boy will make excuses. Yes, but okay. It's easier to quit than to try. Yes. So, okay, I have excuses. Man, let me just kind of back up, Raynette. A man will stay in and figure it out. A man will try. What I hear you saying is that a man will invest and he really will do his best to live by the motto of practice makes progress. I'm going to stay in this. Like Toya, and that aligns with what Toya is saying. It's easier to quit than to try. But if I try, real men try. And they recognize that the struggle is hard, but that's what they didn't tell to their girls. There's also statistics out there that say that did studies on who's the most valuable parent for a daughter to have. It said fathers. And who's the most valuable parent for the son to have? It says mothers. I think we need both personally. But because, again, I'm a believer of the word, and I believe that God didn't make anything by mistakes. He made mother and father because they both are impactful and needed in a child's life in different capacities. Like we talked about before, and Raynette said, they may not be good together, but that shouldn't be a reason why you don't partner to raise the child and be present for your child, right? So a boy will make excuses, like Raynette said. Now, here's the thing. You call yourself a man all you want, but it's your actions that actually is the fruit of what you do. And so, but if you keep calling yourself a man and you still have boy tendencies, you keep calling yourself a woman, but you have girl or childlike tendencies, then you're probably going to continue to make the same mistakes and do the same thing because you're not taking ownership so that you can graduate to the next space, right? You're not taking inventory so that you can actually start saying, oh man, I like how Marcel's operating. She seems very mature and wise. That's, you know what? I like that. You're not even going to be attracted to maturity. And so you're probably going to attract immaturity until you graduate. Right. So those are the things. So anyway, we can stay on your comment a long time. You, Raynette, you and Toya, it's coming a long time. Let me move on. Okay. She has no accountability. Tink, girl, don't even get me to start with that situation. You picking up. And the piece is, I did watch a video not long ago where a girl was having a conversation with her friend and they were having a candid conversation. And one young lady was like, girl, I keep, in another situation, she said, sis, real talk, you do not pick men. You're not the best picker of men. And she said, what? You really gonna call me out like that? She said, yeah, you don't do well. Right. And so sometimes you guys I need that. I say you guys, cause I already got a plethora, well, let me just say, I shouldn't say plethora, really a core group that will call me out anytime, including my family, but girlfriends that will say, Shay, that was out of order. And you need that. There is one of my favorite quotes says, if you have more people around you that care about your character rather than your comfort, you're rich indeed. You need more people around you that care about your character. And your comfort will come later, because really, if people really love you, and when I say really love you, they would have learn or pursue to extend you compassion and course correction in the same kind of way. If I'm overly compassionate with you, what I mean by that, if I'm always agreeing and validating even your ridiculousness, you got to check and make sure if I'm legit, because I may not be telling you the truth. I may be enabling your recklessness, right? Because I may be uncomfortable with feedback. I may not, I may want to be your friend and you may cut me off if I tell you the truth. Things of that nature, right? You also you don't want a friend that overly course correct you, because it makes you feel like they're coming down on you and they're not extending grace or helping you at all. So you need to have a good balance. And if you don't know what that balance is, you need to be, I would say you need to be praying, and then you need to be saying, what does compassion look like to me? What does course correction look like to me? Right? So that if I'm giving it to someone, I know what it looks like. If I want somebody to give it to me and they don't know how, I can share that with them. Because the best way for me to be in a relationship with someone sometimes is to help them understand me as I learn them. They're not mind readers or people readers, and neither are we, but we can help each other if we're willing to exchange and share information. All right. So, okay. So what else we got here? Right. Okay. Right, folks. Yes, people need to hold each other accountable. Need both parents. Yes. So, okay, girl. I'm like, girl, just like I'm looking at one girl. I need more people on here to be talking with me. Maybe next month, we'll have to, what I'm going to do is, if you're interested in doing one of these with me, why don't we hit me up and let me know? Because if you are, then I can have we can have candid perspectives, and we can have the topics, and all of us are on screen, and I'm not just looking at me, because I want to look at other people and talk to other people at the same time. Group discussion. Let's go. If you're interested, please let me know. Let's do it next month. Hit me up and you can be on live with us and we can work it out, especially since this is not like Facebook Live or Instagram Live where I can just pull you in. It's a little bit different. So we can do that ahead of time. So anyhow, all right, let me get to my last question, and then I will share my results, you guys. Let's see, what was the last question? Oh, I think we already covered it. My last question was, oh, well, we already talked about can we mitigate the global epidemic of father absenteeism. I think we kind of did it in a roundabout way. I asked you guys, how do we mitigate? And you all said, having communication, keeping the child first, working on plans, all of those different things. Those are the things that we need to start looking at and looking into. The one thing I feel like we invest a lot in is all of the social media platforms, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, all of these videos we have, and people watch these constantly, and they're getting their information from these sources. And I don't know if people don't recognize the algorithm whole concept. Whatever you feed grows. What that means is whatever you watch the most is what is going to be fed to you. Your appetite and your hunger is really all controlled by you. So whatever you feed yourself, just like I've been trying to get my life right with eating and everything, but I keep on eating the wrong thing. So what is my body saying? Girl, if you don't go ahead and give me another margarita. And I'll be like, girl, no, we can't have. These are the conversations I have with myself. But I promise you, if I stop eating all the brisket and stuff like that I've been eating with my margarita, then my body wouldn't be like, girl, where's our brisket? Are we having a margarita? But it's whatever I'm eating. Same thing with social media, right? Whatever you feed, whatever your news feed is, that's what it's called, right? Whatever your news feed is going to come in, and it's feeding you. It's feeding your perspective. It's feeding your mind. It's feeding your personality in different kind of ways, right? And I don't know if you guys this, but I know not everybody that watches this believes in the Bible or anything like that, but that's my foundation, and that's what I believe in. But the Bible talks a lot about the eyes being a access point, right? Not just the eyes are the window to the soul, but it's an access point. When we see things and it goes into our head, you don't unsee them. when something comes into our ear, comes in and we hear it, we don't take it. Well, unless you are listening to someone that goes in one ear and out the other, that kind of thing. But whatever we hear, whatever we see, it shapes our experience and it has a connection to us. When we're watching a lot of social media videos that's telling us things are the men, we don't have any good men, we don't have any good fathers, men don't want to be present, men don't know how to lead a household, then if that's what you watch, then that's eventually what you're probably going to believe or lean on the side of. Or you'll start seeing it more. I don't know if you guys have ever had this situation where you're like, "Ooh, I like this car." And you ain't seen this car but one time, but once you like it, you see the car all over the place. My husband tells me it's called something, but anyway, it's not deja vu. It's something where you just keep seeing it over and over again because it's a part of your interest. Same thing happens in these situations. If you believe that men aren't good fathers, or they are just prone to be absent, or they don't want to be here, then you will say, okay, look at this situation. Here's another situation. Here's another. Same thing with men. If you feel like women, there are not good women out here, we only are gold diggers, we only want men to cater to us, we only want men to, we don't want to do work, we don't want to be mothers, we don't want to be, and some of us may not want to be mothers, but whatever the case may be, if it's something, if there's a negative connotation, if you watch that constantly and you're trying to recreate Kevin Samuel's spirit from the grave, or whatever the case may be, then you'll probably have that experience with most women. That's who you'll see most. You won't see other women. You won't see other women that's not looking like that. So the point is, what is your appetite? Check your appetite and see what dietary adjustments you need to make to actually start manifesting what you need to see. And so that's just just something to ponder. Okay, y'all, let me tell you about this my situation. We already established that I don't know who my biological father is. So I put in this ancestry test, right? And I did the ancestry and 23andMe. So, and I looked at it last night. Y'all, if I could put some gifts up here on what I emotionally was looking like, I was so annoyed. My husband could attest to it. He's right over here. First of all, let me just say, Ancestry, if you ever watch this, if this goes viral, I have got some problems with you, because it was not as intuitive. I thought all I had to do is, it said your results are in. I should be able to click the DNA and my stuff should display. All right. It didn't happen like that. It was very complicated in my mind. And so it did not come up readily. So I got frustrated. So now I already have an annoyance on this topic. I said, let's just go to 23andMe. 23andMe, good job. You guys had your website was very intuitive. It said, do you want to see your results? And all I learned, bottom line, on both of them, because I eventually had to download the Ancestry application, and then everything came up. And so bottom line, family, I didn't learn anything about my paternity. I still don't know who, I don't have any connections. I only had one connection that was a valuable percentage, because what they do is they share what the percentages are, your connection to people based on their database of whatever. And it could be 99% or 95 to 75. It was all the way down to like 12%. That's where mine started. And then it went down to 5%, 2. And I just stopped looking, because bottom line is there was no viable connections for me to start with. And the one connection that was like 15% was my cousin Jasmine on my mother's side. I know my mother's side. I'm looking for my father's side. Now, granted, the system can only work, or the test can only work based on the data given, right? So if nobody from my father's side has participated in any of these databases, then it probably won't come up with anything. So bottom line, I don't have any more information after 200 and some change, because it was like 118 for one and 120 something for the other. I'm a little shocked. I'm still a little salty about it because in my head, you guys, I've spent 46 years of not really being that interested in it. And you can ask one of my god sister who I grew up with. We would talk about it. Shay, you don't want to know? And I was like, I don't really care. I don't ever feel like I have anything that I'm missing. But now that I've invested and it manifested that, I will tell you guys, I really got emotional last night because I felt like, hell, I could have kept my $250. I did. And I wouldn't even be so this extra emotion about something that I wasn't even committed to. I had all kind of thoughts, but the reality is I got checked as well, because I had to remember, again, the main thing was I was doing this for a bigger purpose. $250 for that purpose is more than worth it. To find out something for my children, I don't care if it came up 1,000 times, zero, nothing, it's all worth it. And so I built a bridge and got over myself this morning. It didn't happen last night because I was salty last night. I went to bed flaming and pouting, and my husband had to deal with that. My flames don't be that hot because he be cooling me down. Thank you, boo. Anyway. When I'm in emotional situations, y'all know what I mean, okay? All right. Well, so that's what I learned. Oh, but here's what else I did learn. I'll share with you guys what I did learn about myself. I am, in fact, okay, you guys, this is what this is going to be funny. It's funny because I'm from Seattle, Washington. And when I'm in Seattle, when I say everyone, oftentimes, when I say often, a lot, I get stopped and people think that I'm Ethiopian or Somalian. And so to the point that when I was there in Seattle in January for my book launch, this woman like argued with me. When I was going into one of my, I think it was the MLK walk at Garfield, and one young lady was like, "Hey, what's up, Ethiopian sister?" I said, "Oh, you're so sweet." No, ma'am, I'm not Ethiopian. She was like, "What are you?" I said, "I'm a girl from Seattle, Washington, black girl." She was like, "Are you sure?" I said, yeah." She was like, "And what's your last name?" I was like, "Ma'am, I know who I am," except for I don't, because I didn't know. I know who I am. I didn't know who my dad was. So I said, "Yeah, I'm sure." But my mom has been dealing with that my entire life. They would Ethiopians and Somalians would come up and talk to me in their language, and they thought that I was Ethiopian or Somalian. Well, Ethiopian and Somalian family. According to Ancestry and confirmed through 23andMe, I am, in fact, from West Africa. 65%, 67% of my makeup is from West Africa, but it is Nigerian. I said, so I don't know what you guys got to say about that. And so that's one. And then, y'all, this other piece about, it was like 27%. Yeah, something like that. Of my makeup is from the United Kingdom, from Wales specifically. So listen, y'all. I will say this: my mom, who passed away 12 years ago. I guess that's how long I've been natural. My mom had been putting a perm in my hair since I was 4. She never knew that my hair was curly. I didn't go natural until after. And so we probably would have had a whole different pool of candidates if she probably would have looked at my hair. Maybe she was with somebody she didn't tell me about. I'm just saying. I thought she was probably with the Ethiopian guy down the street that used to follow me, but apparently that's out. She was, that's not the situation. My mom would be tickled right now if she was alive. But so that's that. That's all I know. That's all I learned from Ancestry. So I am a mix of Africa and the UK. That's what I know. Pretty pretty Ricky, pretty Ricky is what they call me. I call him. Stop reading these comments, you guys. Oh my gosh. All right, let me get my life together and just say thank you all for engaging in this conversation with me. I will be traveling back home to Seattle. And what I think I'll do is I will try to capture some videos and different footage of different parts of impactful parts of my life. Even during August, I'll share with you guys. Maybe I'll highlight the guy that was definitely could have shifted the way I thought about men because of the trauma that was attached to him. And I'll go to the spot that was most traumatic for me. The apartment complex is still there, both of them, of very challenging times of my life. I'll go to that, and I'll do some video footage. I'll even probably go to all the schools or maybe places I live. It's a lot. I think I went to, I don't know, too many schools to count in elementary and too many places that I lived. And anyhow, but maybe I'll do some of that so I can share with you a little bit more about Seattle, Washington. Outside of that, you should go visit because it's an amazing, beautiful spot that has a lot of amazing food and people. So anyway, I'll do that. But thank you again for your time. I appreciate it. Y'all be blessed. If you watch this afterwards, still leave your commentary. Thank you all for just taking the time to share your insight as well. If you are interested in doing like a group chat, you don't have to worry about the fact that you've never done it before. Heck, I hadn't done this before either. And it all worked out, right? And so let's do it together. And then that'll be something else you know how to do. All right. So let's do it. All right. Y'all be blessed. Oh, yeah. Oh, you already know Almond Glaze. Girl, I pray every time because I get emotional. And sometimes the emotional piece is not always crying. It can be like rage. No, I'm serious. It can put you in a very a space of a different kind of space. So you're spot on. I'll be praying for each element, and then definitely as we come close to me sharing that, even though I've shared some of it before, I'll be praying, and y'all can pray with me about that. But I trust that whatever God allows me to share on this space and where He allows me to go, He definitely goes before me and has my steps ordered. And as my mom said right before she passed, girl, don't you know no weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against you, God will condemn. So I just take that and hold on to Luke 1:45, that blessed is she that believes that God will fulfill His promises to her. So He, that's what I roll out on. All right. So thank you all for your time. Thank you for your insight, and y'all be blessed. I'm praying that you have a blessed evening and a blessed rest of the week. And whatever we've shared, go ahead and spread it. Start these dialogues with other people so we can get other people talking about topics that need to be talked about. All right. Y'all have a blessed night.